Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Let's see if this works for me. Hello. Testing 1 2 3. Okay, it does work. Good. Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj, the Sirwalterj Jones Show. I'm here. It is a midday connection, baby. How y'all is? Come on in. The water. It's fine. I'm here again. It's Generational Wealth Monday. Some of y'all like, is it really Monday? Yes, it's Monday. Every Monday we do generational wealth for African Americans specifically. And today I want to talk about gold, and why is it so important that you purchase gold. All right. Now, I would like to say before I go into my little teachings here is that I am not a financial advisor. No, I'm not. And what I have discovered from Christians is that a lot of times we get our advice from clergy, preachers and apostles and pastors and friends. And a lot of our friends and associates are actually they're making the same money we're making, or they might be worse off than us. You might be middle class and they might be poor class. Okay. And we tend to do that and get this bad advice from people who are not doing these things. I cannot give you medical advice. I cannot do that, nor can I give you legal advice, health advice, and I surely cannot give you professional advice with legal issues and things like that. With that being said, I can give you advice on the things that I've done and worked. I can tell you how to get your credit report from 500 up to about 800. I can tell you that. I can advise you on how to do that. I also can tell you how to start a business. I can tell you how to make passive income, how to dive into affiliate marketing. All right. I can tell you how to write a book, how to sell on Amazon. All right. I can tell you how to be a good entrepreneur, how to have businesses. I can tell you all that. You understand? And so when it comes to this subject here on buying, especially dealing with the stock market or buying precious metals, whether it's gold or silver, plutonium, palladium, or what have you. All right. I've bought those things. And so I can tell you what I did, but I can't advise you fully on things. So you need to find someone who has a Series 6, Series 6.3, what have you, who can go take you even further. You understand? So I'm just going to tell you what I've done, what I know, and the studies that I've done down through the 90s with the hopes that you'll take this and go and find an advisor. You're a day late and $1 short because it's Tuesday. Yeah, that's why I laughed. Today is Generational Wealth Monday. All right, Monday. Okay, so let's go into this. I'd like to say that I want to talk to you from a religious point and a business point of view. You're like, why are you doing that? Well, it's important because a lot of times we who are spiritual get both spiritual advice and then we get business advice. A lot of times when we do those, we get business advice and we walk away from the spiritual advice and we stay with the business advice. Even in our churches, we get this bad business advice as well as what it seems to be spiritual advice, but it is misleading. For instance, the word of faith gospel is misleading. The prosperity gospel is misleading. Speak those things that be not as though they were. It's misleading. And so we're looking at that as business advice in our churches, that once we sow into a particular ministry, we will reap plentiful, and that's misleading. You understand? And so we have to really be careful so not go to one extreme to the next. All right. So those of you who are talking to secular advisors dealing with your life and your home, your spiritual life and your spiritual home, be careful. Because some of you might be mentally and physically ill and you go to secular people for help and they will put a label on you and they're not leading you to the Spirit of God. They're not leading you to the healing of the cross, and they'll start issuing you these things and these new age terminologies, and then they'll load you up with medicine and things like that. And I'm not against medicine. I believe in it, but medicine should be the next or last resort after you've done all you can to stand. You understand? So please be careful and be a wise investor, not just a wise investor in those things that are spiritual amongst the body of Christ, but be a wise investor as it pertains to business as well. Get a second opinion. All right. In business, get a second opinion. In ministry, get a second opinion. And what's this? Who's the second opinion? The Holy Spirit. All right. When someone is teaching you something, the Berean church got a second opinion. Who'd they get it from? They went into the scriptures themselves, and I believe the Holy Spirit told them that what the pastor said that morning is correct or incorrect. Always get a second opinion, and this is something I'm noticing that African Americans don't do. You understand what I'm saying? You got it? Okay, you got it? So we need to talk to each other. All right. So as it pertains to this whole thing, I did a show on YouTube, and you can go there where I talked about currency. And I'll go over a little bit the secrets about what the dollar is, the banking system, what have you. And I talked about currency, the difference between currency versus money. And I talked about how money or currency, what this is, all right, this is a sovereign currency, sovereign because it is backed by a government. You understand? And I talked about the currency being portable. All right, you can transport it, of course. It is durable. It is divisible. You could make change with this dollar, and it is fungible, which means it is interchangeable. So your dollar is the same as my dollar. We can exchange it for the same unit of value. You understand? Y'all get what I'm saying? Good to see you here, Marlon. The same unit of value. So in that show, I talked about that they are trying to make coins or they're trying to make your money look like coins, like expensive. They're trying to make your money look like gold and silver. All right. But something happened in 1933 that changed all of that. So if this is currency, then what is money? Well, I talked about money is everything you see here, a store of value over a long period of time. So gold, silver is limited in supply, and the government can't print it. And this is why the government don't really like these precious commodities, and they hate Bitcoin. You understand? Because they have no control over it. They can't print it. All right. And if you put something in the government's hand, they will overdo it. And we get what's called the government is running a Ponzi scheme as it is already. The Federal Reserve. All right. The Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department, what have you. All right. Formed in the early 1900s is a Ponzi scheme. So when something happens in the economy, when there's a dip, whether there's a recession, or whether it's inflation, what have you, then the government begins to print all of this money, and every time they print this money, it lowers the value, it devalues itself, which is really bad, but it's good for some people. And who are those people? All right, so the government don't like gold because there's a restraint on it. So this is called fiat currency, and all fiat prior to this dollar and the other dollars that I'm going to bring up failed. Every sovereign nation who used fiat failed. It failed. It will always fail. Fiat, an authoritative order or official decree, is just worthless paper. Understand? But when who is it now? It used to be Ben Bernanke, and then Janet Yellen, I think her name gives. Who is it today? I can't remember his name today. When they give it a special sign, and they have their meetings at the Fed chairs. Okay, they come together, the committee meeting. Then they decide how this dollar will be affected. All right. And it's important to understand the tricks, because this right here really is a magic piece of paper. It's magic. Why? It's worth $1, although it is not, because 1970, this dollar was worth $1. You fast forward 30, 40 years later, this dollar is not worth the same that it's worth in 1970, which means there's some fluctuating going on here and we're being robbed. You can never see that in gold and silver. The numbers go up and down, but why is it going up and down? Is gold more valuable? Is silver more valuable because the numbers are going up and down? Or is the economy changing? And I'll explain that in a minute. To further prove that this is a magic dollar and that is worth nothing, number one, it used to be backed by what? Gold. It used to be backed by gold until 1971, which means it had something of value backing it up. You get it? But once that was removed by Richard Nixon, the gold standard was removed, this dollar is worth nothing now. Why? Because it's only backed by the faith of the government. And do you trust your government? I can tell the way y'all vote that you don't trust your government, but you trust the government's dollar, which is not worth anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay? Do you hear me? You trust the government's currency, but you don't trust the government, and you prove it by going to the polls. All right, this dollar here, I've done this before. If you rip it in half, okay, this dollar now is worth nothing. You give somebody a half dollar, they're gonna spit in your face. This other half ain't worth nothing either. It's worth less now. But what makes it a magic dollar is magic tape. All right, this Scotch tape. If I did that, okay, ain't nobody gonna take your dollar like this. But if I put some magic tape on it, it's going to be a little sloppy. But at least for the sake of argument, if I did this dollar is now worth the same dollar it was prior to me ripping it. This is the magic dollar. There's no currency that I know that God has made or money that does this, where if you could take a block of gold and split it in half, this left side of the block is still worth money. The right side is still worth money. All right. You put it together, it's worth more money. You can't do that with dollar and fiat. And that is the power or the failure behind fiat. You understand? Belinda says, tape that puppy. Notice I did that with a dollar and not that $20 sitting over here. Okay. So what is gold? Okay. What is why is gold even valuable? The longer something exists on the earth, the longer it stays in existence. All right, gold has been here since the dawning of time. Since God created the heavens and the earth, God created gold at the same time. All right, it is scarcity, it is limited, and gold is absolutely trusted. Gold is trusted. At the time of this recording, gold is running at $14.84. It's $1,484.75 at the time of this recording. It was down just 30 days ago. All right, and it's climbing. That's I think it's a decrease in increase in $23. All right, silver is at $17.66 at 39 cents. All right, so what's happening? I brought up silver because silver is gold's wild and bipolar cousin. All right, silver. I want to talk about that on maybe the next show after this. How important silver is, and don't ignore it, because although it is volatile, yes, but because of the technological world we live in today, silver is huge. And it will surpass gold. It has done that several times before, and it will do it again. All right. So if you was a wise investor, buying gold right now at this price is good. But trust me, that price is getting ready to double. We don't know what's going to happen in 2020, 2022, or 2023, but it's going to happen. A recession is due. A correction is due. And because of this recession or correction that's going to happen, the gold is levied off of the economy or the dollar. And this is why on my wall I said that gold is an insurance policy. Okay, gold is an insurance policy. That's it right here. It is Yes, it is an investment, sure. Everything that you do, you are investing in something. You invest in righteousness, you invest in sin, you invest in good health. Sure, everything is an investment. But technically, buying gold is an insurance policy. That's what it is. And I'll talk about it and I'll prove it to you. All right. I don't care what other people are saying and doing and what have you. Okay. Since the 90s, I've been buying gold and losing gold. All right. I've been buying it and losing it because whether I didn't really understand the value of it. So I gave it away. I sold it. I pawned it. I lost it because of a break-in. Lost it through theft, or I lost it because I left it behind. All kind of things because I didn't understand the value, and I had to go back and understand that how important this sovereign, beautiful sovereign piece of metal is to God. Okay. Now, what is value? Value is subjective. Something is only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. Do you understand? How do I prove that? I'm going to prove it to you. This is a blank piece of paper. It is worth nothing. I cannot sell this paper to you. You would not give me not a penny for this piece of paper. Its paper is everywhere. I can't sell this to you. But if somehow I rewind, go back in history and had Prince or Michael Jackson or I don't know, one of the Beatles, one of the dead Beatles, okay, Elvis Presley, all right, if I had one of them to sign this piece of paper prior to their death, now this piece of paper is worth something. It could be worth thousands or possibly millions after that. Everything that you see on the earth is worth something to somebody. They say that one person's garbage is another person's wealth, or whatever you call that. All right. So it is worth something. Yeah, Cynthia said dead Beatles. Yeah, the dead Beatles. Give me one of them dead Beatles. I couldn't think of them. All I could think of Paul McCartney, but what's the other one? What's his name? Lennon. All right. Give it to John Lennon for the sign, and it's worth something. So value is something is only worth that somebody is willing to pay for it. Then it's worth something. So gold is what? Gold is money. Gold is money, and everything else is credit. Okay? Hear me. Gold is money, but everything else is credit. Now, who said that? I didn't say it. J.P. Morgan said it. Who was J.P. Morgan? J.P. Morgan is the person that many of y'all got your money in his bank. That's the man now who owns Chase. Chase used to be, I think Chase was Chase Manhattan back in the day, all right, until J.P. Morgan. J.P. was a very powerful man, and J.P. would be considered what's his name? Who's the richest man now? It's not Bezos or whatever his name. It's not Amazon anymore. It went back to Bill Gates. Bill Gates is, as of last week, Bill Gates went back to proclaiming or claiming to be the richest man. All right. So J.P. Morgan was the richest man, and the government went to him for a bailout. Do you understand what I'm saying? The government went to one man to be bailed out. So he said that in 1912. All right. So gold is money. That's what it is. Now, but what do we do with money? Okay. Fiat is only credit. Fiat, this dollar, is only credit. That's all it is. And having it means, well, having it does what? It only gives you street cred. Street cred against what? This is very important, y'all. Okay. Well, it was originally had credit against gold, but somebody removed it. All right. So in 1933, the government seized all of the gold from across the country, and it was illegal for you to even have gold in your possession in 1933. All right. And what did they do in replace of that? They began to make more dollars. All right. So what happened? The dollar lost 95% of its purchasing power since then. This dollar lost 95%. And then 1975, they reversed it, and now you're able to own gold again. All right. But the price of gold skyrocketed after removing this gold standard in 1971. So did gold actually go up, or was the dollar devalued? See, that's the answer. Gold don't go up in value. It seems that way. I'm telling y'all, this is a sleight of hands. This is straight Ponzi. This is the rope-a-dope. We think that it goes up in value, but it's worth the same now that it was worth 100 years ago. The dollar and the economy goes down, and the gold goes up in price. And if the gold goes up in price, that's telling you that the economy is tanking or it's fluctuating. So gold is not an investment as much as it is an insurance policy against a bad economy. You understanding it, Logan? You getting it? You understanding it? Warren Buffett, Amber. Well, he's not the richest, not anymore. He gave his money. Yeah, one man's trash is another man's treasury. That's it. Okay, so you don't invest in the dollar. You don't invest in the dollar. You have dollars and you keep it and you save it, but you don't invest in dollars. You take your dollars and invest it in something else. You understand? So you don't invest in dollars. You don't invest in pesos, euros, and yens, and francs, and pounds, and the Russian ruble. Okay, you don't invest in those. You have those. All right. So what's happening is your policy, your life insurance policy. I don't know if I have one here. Let's assume this. My life insurance policy is a policy against my life. And depending on what my life does, depends on what the paper does. That's what gold is to the economy. You understand? So if I was a stunt man or a stunt woman and I went to try to get an insurance policy on my life, they would ask me, what do you do for a living? I say, I jump off of buildings. Then my policy would be much higher. My premiums would be much higher. Or they may say, we don't do stunt men. All right. We just don't, because depending on how dangerous I live my life will determine the policy. So don't just think you can just do whatever you want to in your life, or you may have a disease that's incurable and walk into an insurance company and says, I want life insurance. They're like, no, we can't insure you. Do y'all understand this? All right. So that's what's going on. Gold is against the failing dollar. So money is a depreciating asset, like a car. So the longer you have a dollar in your home, the more it depreciates over time. It depreciates. That's why we keep telling grandmama to take that money out of your house. You got it in your pillow and what have you. All right. It does nothing in your pocket. Nothing. But when you put it up against something with an interest tied to it, then that's something there. All right. So gold is not necessarily an investment as much as it is an insurance policy against what's getting ready to happen in the next year, 2 years, or 3 years, when things start tanking and the market starts trying to correct itself. Those who have nothing of value like gold or silver or palladium or all these other precious things, what do they have? Well, when the market tanks, this tanks as well. So what do you have as an insurance policy? When you die, you cash in your insurance policy. Well, your beneficiary cash it in, depending on the insurance policy. Maybe you have an insurance policy that also it collects over time. You may have whole life or variable life and what have you. Then you don't have to die to benefit from this policy. So gold is the same thing. It is not a death policy as much as it is a whole life policy. All right. Y'all understand? All right. There's gonna be some people who disagree with me, but I don't really care. And Jimmy cracked corn, and I didn't care either. All right. So what's happening right now? The market is out of control. There is so much money in the market right now, and nobody know what to do with it. They don't even know how much money is out there. Okay. And fiat money is failing all over the world. All over the world. So what do? We need to pay attention to what's going on in the banks. And who should you pay attention to? You should pay attention to the central bank. Okay, the central bank. And who else should you pay attention to right now? China. All right. Pay attention to the central bank. Pay attention to China. And there's a reason why. Okay. The central banks is buying up gold like crazy. And so is China. They're buying it up like crazy. But why? Okay. For those of you who may not understand that there are different types of gold. There's the physical gold that you have in your home. There's gold. There's collectibles. There's junk gold. Okay. There's raw gold. There's gold that you have in ETFs actually, and it's good to invest in gold from the ETFs because at least with that you have access to the gold price if it's on the market. So instead of having the gold in your home, having it around your neck or what have you, okay, having it in a locked deposit box, okay, in a bullion, you if it's in an ETF, then at least you can check the markets every day, whether it's the CNBC, Bloomberg, whether it is the nightly business report on PBS, which is owned by, I think, NBC, okay, or you check online and then you can check to see what the market value of the gold is. All right, gold is gold. You understand? And right now, and again, like I said, that's what's going on at the time of this recording. All right, y'all understand what I'm saying? Yes, forex trading. Yes. Sierra, the richest, is not the Amazon guy as of last week. No, he lost that stand. And you guys got to check the market every day to see what's going on. Yesterday, Uber took a big hit. Uber lost $1 billion yesterday. $1 billion yesterday. All right. Them losing $1 billion would be probably like maybe you losing, I don't know, $100. Okay. That's a lot of money. And somebody going to pay for that. But they're very wise. All right. You got Uber and Lyft. I mean, what's been happening with the two of them on the market has been absolutely astonishing, especially because they're two companies that don't own cars. They don't sell you cars. Their business is renting you out and your car to service the people. It's just amazing. Another one was called WeWork. The market don't even understand how WeWork work. I mean, they're renting out this leasing space and what have you, and they like, how is it that you have this type of rise when you don't really own? I mean, it's just amazing. And Amazon has proved it as well by selling books. Amazon wasn't writing the books. I write the book, and so it's just something. Okay, so the ETFs, I talked about raw gold, junk gold, gold miners. Okay, gold miners stock is another one. Okay, now gold miners stock is an investment. For those of you who says gold is an investment, it's not a life, it's not a product. Well, some gold is an investment, and gold miner stock definitely is an investment. But I'm going to talk about China because China is fighting back. Okay, remember this whole trade war with Donald Trump and this whole thing with China, and China was really getting upset with what was going on. China has personally mined 20,000 tons of gold. 20,000 20,000 tons of gold China has been personally mining. Okay? And what else are they doing? Oh man, we about to get a big hit. And if y'all don't wake up and turn off these TV shows and get your face into the newspapers, into the market and see what's going on, you're going to be lost. China mined 20,000 tons of gold. And what else did they do? I talked about a little bit about cryptocurrency. I talked about how the purpose of the Bitcoin was a battle against the central banks. That's the whole purpose of Bitcoins. Okay? Why is it in existence? All right? It was a slap in the face of the central banks, because the banks, sovereign currencies, and nations don't know what to do with Bitcoins. They hate it because they can't do anything with it. They can't put restrictions on it. That's why they hate it so much. But what did China do? Not only did China buy the mint or what you call mine the 20,000 tons, they also entering into cryptocurrency. Now you're like, okay, but aren't they two different things? Yes, but with China, they're putting that thing together because China is moving to a cryptocurrency that is backed by gold. I don't think y'all getting this. I mean, it's a crazy but yet brilliant move against their biggest competitor, which is the superpower of the United States, who's got a president in there who keeps dangling in China's face that, listen, we're going to pull this back, we're going to pull this. And China like, oh, so that's what you're going to do? So here's what we're going to do behind your back. We're going to do this secretly. And so they 20,000 tons. And then they said, now we also going into the place where you don't want to go into, which is cryptocurrency. And then we're going to take that cryptocurrency and back it with the gold that we have. What are they doing? They're doing exactly what we got rid of, the backing of the dollar with gold. I'm trying to tell y'all. So what is history doing? History is repeating itself. There's a company, there's a Bitcoin Capital. They over the past 6 years, they went up 600%. Bitcoin Capital 1, Bitcoin Capital 2, Bitcoin Capital 3. I think they have to 3, 600%. It's huge. And I know a lot of people are afraid of Bitcoin because they don't understand it. But I think it's because, like everything, when it's new to you, when you're used to a certain type, you feel safe and you don't take risks. And in the market, it is all about risks. It's all about risks. And African Americans don't like to take risks, especially with their monies. And I get it. I understand. Yeah. Sarah says $1 equals 8,640 Bitcoins. Yeah. And they was telling us to invest in Bitcoins several years ago. So if you had invested $1 in Bitcoins in 2011, you'd be rich today. Rich. You'd be somewhere on the island drinking Mai Tai or whatever y'all drink today. You'd be wealthy. All right. So these things are very important. I just need you to wake up. So I didn't want to tell you how to invest in gold because, again, some of this is above my pay grade. I'm just telling you what I've been doing over the past 15 years with whatever monies I have left. OK, I'm just educating you on what's going on around this process. Teaching you the beginnings, the etymology, and all these things on how it works. And then you yourself go get you an advisor or go on Google or YouTube, buy some books, and you get in there and study it for yourself and turn off some of them TV shows that you waste your time watching. All right. Here's a couple books here that I have here. This is a great book I just got in today. I can never say his name, Safidian Moose, I don't know what his name is, but this is called the Bitcoin Standard. And it's the Bible of Bitcoin, okay? The decentralized alternative to what? Central banking. Central banking. Very important here, all right? That's a great book. All right, there's several other books I have here. I don't want to show you all my books. It'll take me a while, all right? So if you got any questions, okay, And y'all let me know if you got any questions, and then we can go forward and answer some of them. But next time I want to do silver and how important silver is and why it's going to surpass gold. And they go back and forth like this. Silver and gold does this. Has been doing this since the 1970s. They just do this, all right? And because God made it, and since the inception of the earth, it was here then, and it's still here now. It ain't going nowhere. Nations come, nations go. Kingdoms come, kingdoms go. All right, they rise up and then they fall. Either they implode or they explode. Their fiat money always die. And then now nations around the world are devaluing their currency. The purpose of devaluing the currency is to make it look pleasable, all right, for the other nations that money goes against it. All right, so that's why we like to go to Canada and places like that to spend our money, because the currency exchange rate, all right, we go to African nations, the currency exchange rate is higher. We go to Mexico, okay, places that the currency exchange rate is higher. So nations have a practice of devaluing their currency, because if they don't do it, they will fail. They will fail. But China, China is a monster, and y'all pay attention. So if you want to buy gold, I suggest you do your research first. Do your research first. But what is it? The average person who have gold don't sell their gold. Buying gold is all about, I talk about in my book here, the 4 women that men desire. All right. I talk about how men value women. He buy, hold, or sell. I talked about that in, I think, the chapter 7, the theology of buying, holding, and selling. When it comes to gold, the average investor in gold, they buy the gold and they hold it. Why do they hold it? Because what do you do with an insurance policy? You hold it. You understand? Now, there's some people who need to borrow from the insurance policy depending on their personal economy at home. Something happens where some kid went to jail, or they going into foreclosure, or they getting ready, the car about to be repo, or something happens, all right? A catastrophe, could be a medical something, and then some people go back into their insurance policies. I have done this before and dug into the insurance policy and borrowed from it, all right? So gold can be used as that, where some people probably need to sell their gold depending on the fluctuation of it, all right? But the average person, smart investors, they buy the gold and hold it. And what they hold it for? They hold it for a rainy day. And when is that rainy day coming? Soon and very soon. If you live in America, it's coming. Look at the economy around the world and see how it's fluctuating. See how crazy it is. Look at this Brexit thing happening in Europe, man, and we see what's happening with the China, and what else? Venezuela. There's several other nations where their fiat is dropping like crazy, whether it's by choice or whether it's by demand, but it's happening. And what are they doing? Gold. And there's only about 80 companies in the entire world that's control of the gold. That's it. About 80 companies around the world that's in control of this gold. At one time, the United States held all the gold, most of the gold. Down there at Fort Knox, I think it was, the nations put their gold there. And that's what caused us to be a superpower. We had all the nation's gold, and we were sitting we were willing and dealing with the credit. And what was the credit? The dollar. That's what it was. All right. Did you learn anything today? It's not the same denomination, of course. Right. Roger says, while we are over here running a Ponzi scheme, China has finally figured out a way to be the real deal and back it up with gold. My, how things change. Our fiat currency has no intrinsic value. I think we would be wise to keep our eyes on them. In God we trust. All others pay cash. Woo! Yeah. Garcia says Nixon messed that up. Now, Garcia Johnson, yes, he did. But it's a catch-22, because if he had not, we would have been in trouble. So we can't necessarily put all the blame on him. He did what he had to do because the nation's gold was here. And the nation started getting, y'all heard of quantitative easing, they call QE, what have you, okay? We just kept producing money and fiat when something happened in the economy, and the other nations was watching this. The nations who had gold over here was watching this, and they looking at their dollar and seeing how the dollar was dropping, and they was coming over here grabbing their gold. So they did a run on the bank. The other nations around the world were doing a run on the bank. So what did that do? That put fear in the United States Treasury, which is ran by the White House pretty much, okay? Who writes the checks? The president writes the checks, all right? He gives a budget every year. He writes the check. So fear came, and it says, if we don't pull this backing, it's going to wipe us out. So he did what he had to do. What he did was a bad thing, but what he did was save us. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it was a preventive measure. I guess that's what you can say. Okay. He also asked, how do you buy gold? There's so many companies out there where you can buy gold. So many. Even I was on eBay today looking at all of the companies out there who, man, you buy gold everywhere. You really can. But keep in mind, keep your eye on the price. Keep your eye on the price. What's happening right now as you know, a recession happens after back-to-back, I think it's 2-quarter loss, and then we go into this whole recession thing. Notice how the stock market is really doing great right now. And every president serving under a good economy usually take credit for a great economy. And it didn't start with Donald Trump. You know, I know he does a lot of bragging about the economy. Barack Obama did brag, as well as Bush, as well as Clinton. All of them brag when the economy is good, but notice how silent they are when the economy is tanking. When there's a crash and a dip and people start losing money, and then they don't say nothing, all right? Or they'll come up with some excuse. So do the presidents have anything to do with the markets going up and down? Absolutely, yes. What they say could be smart or stupid, and which could cause the market to be excited or go into depression. All right. So the president has everything. He has every right to pat himself on the back, as well as he has every right to take the blame for when something dipped. You understand? But with that being said, what is the movie where Michael Douglas says that greed is good? Do you remember that movie? Thank you. A preemptive strike. Yeah, because sometimes I mess these words up. What is that movie where he said greed is good? Those of you who don't understand finance may not understand that, and hearing it from a Christian point of view, of course, greed is not good. Greed is actually against the scriptures. It talks about those of you who desire the office of a bishop or a superintendent or elder or presbytery role. You desire a good thing, and it talked about filthy lucre. Don't be chasing after the money. So in that instance, greed is not good. But debt is good. Rich people know how to use debt to their advantage. What's the movie? Wall Street. Thank you, Amber and Demetrius Hunt. Debt is good for those of you who know how to leverage debt. You see, many, I hear, who was that? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What's his name? Yaki, what's his name? I always mess his name up. All right. He often talks about how he loves debt, but he will not invest in the stock market because, and he's correct, it makes logical sense that when the market is so high and we seem to be doing great quarter after quarter, people are so excited about the market, and people are becoming rich because of it, but they're becoming rich off of dead money. They're becoming rich off of debt. The government is a Ponzi scheme, is pumping all this debt into the economy. So you're getting excited because the market is high. It is the highest we have ever seen it at the time of this recording. It's the highest we have ever seen it. And people are getting rich, but they're being rich off of debt that the company, which is the United States, is putting us in. So you can't see that. If you have a spiritual eye, keep looking further, and you're actually on the Niagara Falls and you don't know it. Robert, Kiyosaki. Boy, Amber, you helping me today. We are actually on the Niagara Falls and you can't see the dip. So we're going up like this, and the waves and the winds, and because we're hot and the water is hitting us, it feels good, man. We keep rising each quarter, but the day is coming because the debt is so high. And they keep printing the money trying to fix the debt. And all they're doing is kicking the can down the street. You understand? Now, when this fall happens, whenever it happens, when this recession does happen, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to lose and become poor. But there's going to be a lot of people who are going to become rich. When things tank, you supposed to actually going up. You who are smart, you understand the market, and you've got something that you've built in yourself. You who are entrepreneurs, you're supposed to be able to make money when the market tanks. That's why debt is good for those who are wealthy. Bankruptcy is not really a bad word for those who are wealthy. Bankruptcy is a restructuring of the business, restructuring of the finance. To an individual, bankruptcy is bad. To a wealthy person, bankruptcy is we just moving things around. Donald Trump filed for bankruptcy several times. He's the president of the United States. Even with the knowledge of knowing that he is a multi bankruptcy man. Okay? Y'all getting it? All right. I think I'm done. I think I put your, how long I've been on this thing? Who's the clock keeper? I think it's Amber. You're the clock keeper. All right. So next time we'll talk about silver, and then we'll go into some other things. Again, this is Generational Wealth Mondays, and I like to go back to doing this on Mondays so that I can keep y'all awake. Okay? So please, people, stop wasting money. Stop wasting money. And put some money away. Every time I get something in my hands, I put it away. Put it away. Put it away. It's important. And if I take a lump amount of money and I put it into something, I'm putting it into my business. So I'm putting it into my books, and I'm putting it into my music and my writing, okay, and my marketing classes and things like that. I put it into that so that I can continue to distribute properly in investing in my own business. These are multiple streams that I put in. I got to do that. I have to do that because if I don't work, I don't eat. All right. I can't oversleep. If I get sick, if that money's coming out of my pocket, I don't have no vacation days and I don't have fringe benefits like y'all do, all this stuff. I have to work. But I'm learning to be a smart worker. So invest in myself. You should be doing that right now. Never, I keep telling y'all, never rely on one source of income. Never do that. Never. I don't care how poor you are right now. I don't care if y'all been on your job and you're trying to wait another 5 years so that you can retire. But let me tell you something. The market crashed because of these toxic loans. Some of you lost your homes because of what they call these. Because of y'all, you had nurses and janitors going to the bank and getting houses that cost $300,000 and $400,000, and they were making 25 $30,000 a year, and they were buying these big old houses, and these subprime. They were subprime, and the banks were just giving it to them. All right, so we tanked in 2007, 2008 because of that. The next crash is coming because of pensions. Pensions. Mark my word. It won't be the housing bubble and all that stuff. It's going to be pension. It's going to be retirement. That's the next crash is happening because of that. All right, you heard it here. Okay, I got to go, y'all. Love y'all. Hit the share button if you will, and share it with your friends and neighbors. And I'm going to try to post this over there in the Generational Wealth for African Americans. Go to that group. If those of you who are on Facebook, it's called Generational Wealth for African Americans, GWAA. Yeah, go over there and I'll let you in there, and we post whatever we can over there. Got to get back to doing that because we've been derelict to duty. All right, Alexa, say good night.
Good night. Sleep tight.
And don't let the bed bugs bite. Yes, subprime mortgage crash. Thank you. That's it. 47 minutes. All right, got to go. I love y'all. Peace in the valley. Pray for me. Bye.